Hi everyone. In today's short talk, we will speak about 4 top features from Spring 25 release that developers must know and can enhance a lot, their daily base. So Santiago Villamil Paz will bring to us those 4 features. Welcome, Santi.
Hi, Thiago. Thanks for inviting me today. I'm glad to be here. Um, so I don't know if let's start.
Let's start then. You brought some slides, to show, and we're gonna see also something in practice,
Yes, we're going to see some slides and then some practical in the Salesforce org.
Great, great. Go ahead.
Well, so here we are. So we'll get ready for the release Spring 25. As Thiago said, my name is Santiago Villamil Paz, and we're going to see some technical enhancements, topics like, well, at an apex level improvements, programming, technical aspects. So we're going to see 4 different topics or different topics that we're going to talk about. First, we're going to talk about this Apex batch results order by request. So this is something that maybe you have already faced this issue, but what is going to change? So right now, when you execute an Apex batch, the results were ordered by a sequence. But if there's a process batch that failed, um, you can't correlate the line where you see the error and the process. When you go to the logs, you just go to the logs and scroll up and until you see the error. And that's something that maybe you get used to at the beginning, but it's not like the best thing to have, because you can't correlate the error with the process, the calls that the Apex patch is doing. So what is this release changing? Well, now the results are going to be returned in the same order as they were received by the process. So there's going to be a correlation between the data, the error, and the process. We're going to see an example after this, but there's going to be a lot of benefits out of this. For example, the first, improvement, performance, and consistency in integrations. Secondly, more flexibility for developers in automating Salesforce, and also a better control over the batch data processing. You're going to see seamlessly the errors in the logs where they appear. They are going to be correlated with the process. In this slide, we're going to show you the example. So as I said earlier, well, before the results were returned in a random order, making it harder to tracking them. But after this release, the results are going to be returned in the exact moment that they were requested. So this is going to simplify our analysis, and when we have an error, we're going to find the error much easier, and also we are going to be able to correlate the error in the process of the batch. So we have a picture, we have an example right here. So before the update, the failed batch execution was pushed to the front. As you can see, it's at the end of this Apex batch. And then doing the same process, but obviously after releasing this functionality, uh, we're going to see in the number 2 after update. So how it's changing. The failed batch appears in the correct order, so it's appearing in the middle of the first and the third batch. Meanwhile, in the example of the before, it was pushed to the front. So before you can't know where the error was happening, but now you're going to be able to see where the batch failed. Maybe you all were already like used to see the things like this, but now it's going to be much easier. But there's a consideration that you have to you have to know, and that's the little note that we have right here, important note. In the spring 25, patch number 7, Salesforce will disable this update in all orgs to prevent further performance degradation. It turns that this modification have some performance have some impact in the performance of some orgs and some processes, and Salesforce realized about that, and so they stopped this change or this feature, and they're going to retire later in this spring in another batch. But it's a functionality that Salesforce is right now they are looking for the correction. Yeah. So in the future, maybe in this spring in another batch, or maybe in another release, they are going to release it. And so why are we telling this if it's going to be deprecated? Because maybe you already um, applied this new feature to your org, so you should know that you maybe will be facing some performance degradation. But I tested this myself, and I wasn't able to see the performance degradation. I make some tests with little data, with small data, small batch, and I can see a difference with the process and without the process, the new process. So maybe this is happening with a big or a great bunch of data. Well, the second feature that we are going to talk about, it's the ICU regional setting formats. So if you don't know what is ICU regional setting formats, it's simple. It's International Component Unicode. So to explain you this in a simple way, for example, when you see a date or a currency or a name, an address, the way that you are seeing that you can read it, um, it's made possible by the ICU setting format. So, for example, in Latin America, the dates are always like the day, then the month, and then the year. For example, I don't know, February 1st is 01, 02, and yeah, 2025. But if you see it in a format, for example, United States format, you're going to see first the month. And this causes a lot of confusion, a lot of problems. Also, maybe you don't know if you're sending the information in some way. So the ICU is going to improve the internationalization of the data in Salesforce. Right now, there's two ways that Salesforce is doing this. The first one is the Java Development Kit. It's something that, well, it's from Oracle's. Is that is the way that Salesforce used to do it with the Oracle's Java Development Kit, but now they are migrating to the ICU local format. So there's a lot of things that are happening. Well, we are going to see the benefits. I already mentioned some. But well, things that as advanced support for local conventions without manual configurations are some of the benefits. Um, there's an implementation plan for this. Um, so this update was released on February 15. You are going to be able to do it in your org, like in a manual configuration in the notes of the release. You're going to be able to do it in your sandbox or in your production org. But this will be postponable until summer 25 because maybe you have to change some data. Maybe you have to be sure that if you apply this new setting, you're not going to uh, be damaging your org in or your data in some way. So you're going to be able to preview it, as I said it, in your sandbox. But if your sandbox is on a version below the 45 version, you're not going to be able to do it. But if your org is it's in another version later than the 45, you're going to be able. Yeah, the impact it's main on it's yeah in the main way on the integration and the processes that maybe are using the old formats, as I mentioned, the Java development kit format. So the recommendation is that always test in a staging environment first. How do you know that you are using the Java development kit or that your org it's already using the ICU format? So you just go to the setup, and then in the quick find you're going to search for user interface and user interface. There, you're going to be able to see right here, enable ICU formats for, well, depending on the location that your profile is. Um, so if this check is, you can see, if you can see this check, your org already have the ICU local format and you don't have to do nothing. Uh, but if there's a text, if there's a text that says that you're using the Java development kit, well, we will have to enable the ICU format. Then this is the way that you can see how your org is working right now. But also in Salesforce Quick Find, you can see that you are going to be able to test it in your org, as I said it earlier. So this is an image that you just go to the release and yeah, see all the features that you are going to be able to deploy or to install, and then well, you just have to enable this this new configuration. Well, now we're going to see the new feature that Salesforce is releasing. It talks about the stacked pop-ups that now you are going to be able to do it in the Lightning Web Component. So what's changing? Now you're going to be able to stack multiple pop-ups. Um, they can be open simultaneously in a Lightning Web Component. So the user will interact with them with multiple windows, multiple pop-ups. And of course, the user is going to be able to close them as he wishes. So it's going to be a better experience for the user, and it's a practical way for the developers for some processes in a Lightning Web Component. There's a lot of benefits. One of them is that you are going to have a better control over multiple windows. It's going to be a smoother user experience without interruptions. And of course, it's a simple implementation. It's code, yes, but it's not a complex code. Um, I'm going to show you a practical example later so you know what I am talking about. So before, what was happening before? You open a new pop-up, close the previous one, um, but there's no workflow between the first pop-up and the second pop-up. If you close the second pop-up, it closes everything. But now it's different because you can stack multiple pop-ups. If you close the fourth one, for example, you're going to be now on the third pop-up, or whichever is the process. So we are going to see a more practical example of this new feature. So here we are in a custom app that I made. It doesn't matter what it's doing. The only thing that matters is that I'm going to explain you what is the new feature of stacked pop-ups. So the classic mode, or the classic way that pop-ups were used in the Lightning Web Components, was this. So you're going to access to this Lightning Web Component. You see, well, some data. Then you hit on, this is the first pop-up. This is the first pop-up. Then you hit to the second pop-up. So see details. This is the second one. There's another window, another pop-up, another buttons. You can click on them. But if you closed, here, for example, is the third pop-up. If you close the third pop-up, it closes everything. You see? So this is the first one, the second one. If I close this, it brings me back to the Lightning Web Component, to this application. So that was the way that works or worked before, but now with this new functionality, it works this way. So as you can see, it's the same pop-up. The difference is that when I hit the button, well, I'm going to see this second pop-up, and if I close the second pop-up, the workflow brings you to the first pop-up. So you're going to be stacking pop-up after pop-up after pop-up, but you will be able to close the fourth one, for example, and this is going to bring you the third pop-up, then the second pop-up, then the first pop-up, and then you close all the pop-ups. So this is the new feature that Salesforce is enabling for us. As I mentioned earlier, it's not difficult. It's a small piece of code. So it's going to be a seamless experience while developing these new pop-ups. And now we're going to talk about this last feature that Salesforce is releasing in this spring 25. It talks about the use of my domain for the API request. This is going to be mandatory for all orgs and all integrations. This is because, well, this is going to improve security, customization in the Salesforce app API integrations. So if your org is a little older, or yeah, it's an old organization of Salesforce, maybe you remember that your domain was, for example, .salesforce.com or .force.com, and there's another variations of this. But now, since like a year ago or something like that, Salesforce started to all the orgs that were created, they were created like this with the .my.salesforce.com. So why this is important? Because they're going to deprecate the other domains. So if you are using a domain that it is not like this, .my.salesforce.com, if you're using a domain like this in an integration, or maybe in your metadata, you're going to face a lot of issues, a lot of errors, and a lot of problems. So an easy way to know if you're doing this, you can download all your metadata in for example, a code editor, Visual Studio, for example, and search for uh, your last or your previous domain, for example, .force.com. And your Visual Studio is going to search for you all places where you, in your code, have this like burn into your code, and you will have to change it. So how do you know which or what is your new domain? So you just go to your setup of your org, type my domain, and in this setup, you're going to see this this here, current my domain URL. So this is the URL that you're going to have to replace with your previous domain. This is something that Salesforce did for, well, for security and also for customization. This update is going to be required in all the applications, and it's going to be a deadline. In Sandbox, it's April 1st, and then in production, it's going to be on June 14. So you're going to have time to prepare, but it's something that if you are not aware, maybe you're going to face a lot of problems on those dates on the Sandbox or in the production org, because yeah, the integrations are not going to find the old domains, and this will bring a lot of problems to you and your organization. So this was the last one, but a little more information about this release. Well, your Salesforce instance determines your act release date, but the main launch weekends are going to be January 11, February 8, and February 14. Of course, there's a lot of different dates for different features, but those are like the deadlines that until that date, it's like optional. But after that date, for example, in the last one, after June 14, it's going to be mandatory, and all the orgs are going to be working like this. So, well, these were the four different the release topics that we want to share with you.
Great, Santi. Those are things that we need always to pay attention, to avoid any problems, and also leverage, some new features that also can enhance something. Thank you very much, Santi. You are invited to come back here to bring new knowledge for us. No, it's always good.
Thank you, Thiago, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure, and maybe we will see each other next time.
For sure. Add Santiago on LinkedIn. Add me there as well. Add Cloudgaia there as well, and in all different social media, it's at Cloudgaia. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click in the bell to receive alerts about our new videos. See you. Bye bye.
See you.